Another week, boys, and another twab. This week at Bungie, Telesto's literally taking over the world. I'm serious, guys. Light GG, Dim, Bungie's Twitter account. There's all kinds of shenanigans going on with this weapon, and fellas, I love it. But this week at Bungie, we've got Iron Banner changes to discuss. Last week, we went over the changes coming to abilities in the next season, and this week, we are hanging out with a few final notes to answer some community questions and sharing some changes to Iron Banner. Now, starting with the winning trials map, Cauldron. Really, Guardians? Dude, I voted for Anomaly, fellas. I said Anomaly. How did we go for Cauldron? Doorways are terrible. Attention, Guardians. This week's Trials with Cyrus will be on Drumroll Cauldron. I personally was hoping for Anomaly. Kidding. But I do have fond memories on Anomaly as a self-res warlock back in Destiny 1. So get on out there and try and take a trip to the lighthouse. Now moving on. Telesto. We are aware that Telesto is acting, well, like Telesto, honestly. So we wanted to give a little tip for the new lights that may not have heard that when Telesto acts up, we just toss a blanket over it until we could put a more permanent fix in. Anyway, no puzzles or secrets to be found. Despite what the machine says, we are in full control of the situation and there's no need to panic. Dude, really, Bungie? No puzzles? This is a very odd bug, right? Way too intentional for just any old normal Telesto bug. Like, this seems like something Bungie put in. I'm curious to know if this has any relation to the upcoming sandbox changes though, and if this is actually just an early rework of Telesto going into the next season. But considering the things like the emblems, the Eververse store items, the social media accounts for Destiny 2, there's got to be something a little more here. And even yesterday, we saw that Telesto was shooting differently. Like, first, it just had its like tracking, or not really even tracking, crystals that would just kind of float off into space. Many of us were like, yo, is this actually constellations? We were taking a lot of screenshots of it. And then the weapon started to act like Graviton Lance yesterday, where you would literally shoot it and it would just sit there and just keep erupting over and over. So needless to say, Telesto is evolving here. And I don't think this is something that's happening unintentionally. I do think this is something Bungie is doing purposely, even outside of what may come in next season sandbox changes. With that being said though, what does it mean, man? What does it mean? See you soon, Iron Banner. Closing time plays quietly in the background. All right, Guardians, the final Iron Banner of the season is upon us. Don't forget to log in next week and finish up your title or even get that guild. We do want to call out a quick note from the team. Interruption, we fixed a bug where defeating a primed player on a 5+ streak would give extra points for each participant player. And while it was interesting, this led to drastic point swings that were a bit too much for our liking. So now it only rewards points to the players that dealt the final blow. We also updated the mode to only show you Iron Banner medals instead of unintentionally showing you Crucible medals. All right. By the way, guys, I actually really do like the Eruption game mode. Now, the player support report, the best of Telesto. Hell, law. Now, next week in Destiny, as we fight to wrestle control of our in-game messages from Telesto, here's what's coming up next week in Destiny 2. Stop the Vex incursion in the Glassway Nightfall. Iron Banner Eruption returns. Shaxx brings momentum control to the Crucible, along with bonus Crucible ranks. Raid Rotator will be Deepstone Crypt, and the Dungeon Rotator will be Shattered Throne. Speaking of which, Deepstone Crypt, we were actually suspecting the puzzle with Telesto to be somehow related to the Deepstone Crypt, given like the encrypted messages of like Beyond. So I know like in the stream yesterday, everybody was like, oh my God, Beyond, what does that mean? Beyond Light. Oh my God, Deepstone Crypt. But again, we can just sit down and believe Bungie on this and assume there really is no puzzle. Now, daylight savings reset reminder. As of November 6th in the United States, Destiny 2's daily and weekly reset time has been updated to 9 a.m. Pacific due to daylight savings. So essentially, guys, across the board, an hour earlier. Now, saving your Stadia characters. Destiny 2 players whose main characters are from Stadia should set up cross-save with another platform so they do not lose access to their characters after Stadia shut down on January the 18th, 2023. Additionally, after January the 18th, players with Google Stadia as their primary account should not deactivate cross-save for any reason. Doing so will result in players completely losing access to their characters. Again, for my, 4,000 or 5,000 Stadia players out there, do this before January the 18th. There's also an entire article on how to save your Stadia character. We'll link that in the description below. Now, Ether Tank Radio. We are currently investigating an issue causing players to be unable to receive all Ether Tank Radio messages when playing across multiple characters. As a workaround for this issue, players should continue to complete their Cells of Shipstealer weekly quest missions on a character that has at least one game of chance remaining from the spider, and ensure that receive all radio messages on this character before progressing the story mission on another. Please note that players must return to orbit between every radio interaction. Dude, the bugs, right? Known issues? Telesto. Law. Now, as a final note here from Bungie, and that's it for this week's TWAB Adventures. The days are getting shorter and shorter, but that just means the holiday season is almost here. I'm not gonna lie, I love all holidays because I just love being excited about things. But the end of the year is always my favorite. So stay cozy if it's cold where you are, and stay cool if it's warm. We hope you're having a good start to your November, Guardians. We'll see you next week. Stay crafty, Sam. All right, guys, that is your TWAB for this week. I know, kind of a small TWAB. I think most of us are probably playing God of War right now. We'll actually be streaming Trials tomorrow on Cauldron, despite me not liking that map. But then we're also gonna pivot and play God of War. So feel free to come by, guys. We are definitely loving this one. Somehow, God of War Ragnarok, so so far has been topping even the previous God of War, which is incredible. As for my folks still digging for a puzzle or potential puzzle that's tied to Telesto, I wish, man. And again, we highlighted in our video the other day essentially everything we know with Telesto currently. And if there's one thing to take away from that entire video was, man, do I miss having community events and not only that, community puzzles. Like that right there, dude. We need that back inside of Destiny. So bad. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.